Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to another Top 11. But before I get into the Top 11, I got this for the wall, so I'm going to put it on the wall real quick. I want to thank my good old buddy Jonathan for giving me the zapper, the cordless zapper. Cord's gone. He found it and was like, "Do you want to put this on the wall?" And I was like, "Hell yes I do!" So it's on the wall. Thank you, Jonathan, for the zapper. Nice contribution. Gives it more depth. Because depth is fun. Anyway, since Megaman X is ending soon, it has 2 more episodes left at least. If I go past 2 more episodes, I really suck at Megaman X. But 2 more episodes left, and I'm still going to give it time. If you haven't watched the Let's Play, it's ending extremely before the rest of the games in its line, in its little segment, in its little tier of games. Plus, Halo just finished, and The Darkness is on the tier before the other 3 games I'm doing now. So, in order to let The Darkness catch up, I'm gonna do some Let's Arcades to buy time, and if I need to, I'll do other stuff along with Let's Arcades, but I really only have 2 Let's Arcades in mind to do, which I already have this planned out and everything. But, nonetheless, I figured I'd talk about arcade games. I love arcade games. Arcade games are great. Sadly, not a lot of fantastic ones have impressed me, at least out of newer games. There have been some that I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's a nice idea, or that's a good game within a genre of games. But typically, a lot of people, including myself, play the older games really about the 2000 mark, because the latest game on my list, I believe, was actually in the 2000s. It was actually, I think, 1999 was when it came out, so maybe one in the 2000s. But anyway, these are my top 11 arcade games, games I love to play in arcades. These are not games that were brought from home to the arcade. These are not games that I played the home ports of the arcade games, but these are games that I played in the arcade that I may also have on the home consoles, because, well, while I don't agree with porting a game from home to the arcade, like Guitar Hero or Fruit Ninja or anything like that, I do agree with porting arcade games to consoles, because it makes the shit free and fun. Anyway, before I get into the list, I have a couple of games / things that I wanted to talk about that I do love from arcades. First one is pinball. I don't know if that really counts, that's why I left it off the list, but pinball is awesome. It's a classic within the staple of arcade gaming, and I just love it. Even on a scientific level, I love pinball, because it's kind of pseudo-strategic on how you would tackle a pinball machine, if you can do it right. I'm not the best at it. My mom was amazing at pinball, so I love watching her play, and I'm alright at pinball, but yeah, I love pinball. I didn't know if it counted, so I left it off the list. I omitted it from the list, but I did want to talk about it. And the other 2 are shooters, because this thing isn't full of shooters, but I did want to kind of have a bit more diversity on the list. The first one being Point Blank, which is a very unique take on the shooter in an arcade. Yes, you do use a light gun, like the zapper, so that's kind of relevant that I'm putting that up in this video, but it's not where you're achieving a goal. You're not, like, on a mission to kill stuff. It's like a shooting gallery. It's like mini-games of a shooting gallery in an arcade, and it was fun, it was awesome, it was great. If you can find Point Blank, definitely give it a try. I think they did port it to the Wii. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But the other one is one that I see everywhere, but even when looking up some arcade games, while I did, you know, the list wasn't easy to make, I wanted to make sure some of the games were originally in the arcade, because I wasn't sure completely. But LA Machine Guns. Has no one heard of this game? I've seen it in so many different arcades. It's along the lines of Alien, the Alien game that's in arcades now, where you're having a gun that's heavy, that's planted to the arcade cabinet, and you shoot stuff. But you're also on this platform, so you're like standing up above the ground, like shooting stuff in a rail shooter style, but the game is like really old and polygonal graphic-wise, but it's fun as hell to play. I love it. Didn't put it on the list, though, because I wanted a bit of diversity. But, nonetheless, let's start with the list. At number 11, DDR. Now, I know my physique does not promote someone who plays DDR, but I love DDR. I'm not the best at it. I'm not one of those guys who can go up to the machine and impress you. But I love DDR. It's a fun game. It's a nice way to just let loose in our arcade. You're not just sitting there with a joystick, or with a light gun, or with a steering wheel in your hand. You're doing something active, and it's kind of fun. It was different. It still is kind of different in comparison to what's in arcades now. They do have more games that are more active, but yeah, I think it's a fun game to play. And the console ports, some of them are pretty fun too. I used to have one on the original Xbox, and I have the game, but I don't have my pad. It's DDR Ultra Mix. Yes. Bet that you weren't expecting that, were you? DDR. I'm a DDR enthusiast. Used to be, not as much anymore, because I don't get to play much anymore. But number 10 was DDR, and number 11 was DDR. Number 10 is Centipede. Now, yes, you may compare Centipede to something else on the list that's further up, but Centipede was a little bit different. It wasn't as flashy or, you know, like bright colors and lots of animations. It was you as a little pixel shooting other little pixels with your little pixel gun. And I liked it because it was different. I mean, you used a trackball. It was really weird. It was a unique arcade experience. And I love Centipede. It's fun. It is, not even was, it is a fun arcade game. And I do have it on the Xbox arcade game room thing. So I might do a Let's Arcade of Centipede in the future. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that I would in the future. So number 10 is Centipede. Yes, I do actually have them on a sheet of paper because I thought of this at work. So I was like, I'm going to write a list of arcade games that I love in order. In at number 9 is Time Crisis. Now, again, you're going to compare this, but this one is actually explicitly a comparable game to one that's further on the list. But the Time Crisis franchise. I love Time Crisis. And I like it in comparison to other light gun shooters because they had that one small thing that was different about it that made it better. And that's the cover system, the little pedal, that made reloading better, and it made it more efficient because you can just sit there and shoot a couple shots and then just quickly tap on the pedal, and you would reload your gun and it would be quick and easy. It made the game more fluid and fast-paced. While shooting off the screen is not that hard to do, and you can still shoot off screen and reload your gun, I believe. But it just seemed more seamless and more fluid, and you could actually have some sort of defense in the game from the hecticness that was going on, and I love it. It's awesome. They've implemented it into other games that are clones of Time Crisis, essentially, that I do love. There's one in the arcade around here that does that, and I love it. Fun game. But Time Crisis was like the originator of that shit, and I love it for that reason. Time Crisis is a fun game. My favorite is probably 2 or 3. I never played 4. I think I played 4 like once, because they don't have it much in the arcades I go to. They usually stop at 3, because 3 was pretty fun. But Time Crisis, number 9. Number 8 is Star Wars Arcade, or Star Wars Trilogy Arcade. Now, I love this game, and I would be higher on the list if I got to play it more, because the game is awesome. You pick from a movie in the original trilogy, and you play some scenes through it. They have even like lightsaber battles and stuff, and it was awesome because it was you with a joystick, and it was just you doing various things with it. They implemented multiple actions with the joystick, and it was awesome. Loved the game. If I could find an arcade that had it, that would be my arcade of preference, because that game was so awesome, and the few times I got to play it, I loved it, because, you know, I love Star Wars. I don't know if that's obvious, but I love Star Wars. In fact, another Star Wars game almost made it on this list, but it didn't because, I wanted to have more variety. I'm talking about the Pod Racer game for the, because it was different. The Pod Racer game was different than the N64 game. But anyway, love Star Wars, love the Trilogy arcade game. If you can find it, I definitely recommend playing it because it was awesome. It was a nice experience from the Star Wars franchise. And number 7 is Rampage. Rampage was a game that I actually got to play a lot because when I was a kid, there was a Boys and Girls Club. I don't know if they still exist or if that was still a thing, but I did that. I went to the Boys and Girls Club when I was a kid, and they had free arcade games there that you can play. Another one of the games on this list was there as well. I binged on Rampage, Super Mario Brothers. They ported it to an arcade cabinet, like the NES game, which was awesome, and the other game on this list that I'll talk about later on. But, yeah. Rampage is fun. If you don't know what Rampage is, you play as one of 3 monsters and you destroy buildings. It's like Godzilla, but kind of funny. It also had its comedic moments. You can get shocked, which looked hilarious. The animations were great. It was fluid. It was fun. You could eat stuff. Like, you could eat people and stuff, and it was just like, it was a fun, competitive, destructive game. And it was awesome. I loved Rampage. In at number 6 is Crazy Taxi, which is one of the games I'm going to be doing a Let's Arcade of when Megaman X is finished. Crazy Taxi. fun game. If you've never played Crazy Taxi or any of its clones, do it, because it's an easy concept that was executed well and had a fun soundtrack. Mostly the Offspring song that played just about every time you started the game. There were other songs in the game, but that Offspring song, All I Want, is like in the beginning of it every single time almost, and it's awesome. I love Crazy Taxi. You're just picking up people, taking them where they gotta go. Crazy mayhem, destruction to the max. Fun game. Crazy Taxi. Number 5. And this is hard to put from number 5. Miss Pac-Man. I wanted to put it higher, but I didn't. Miss Pac-Man, because Miss Pac-Man's awesome. I like it more than more than normal Pac-Man because it had variety. The maps were different. It seemed faster paced because you could increase the speed of Miss Pac-Man, and if it was really fast, it was really fun. It was crazy. I did Let's Arcade of a Pac-Man game, and if I wanted to, I would do Miss Pac-Man as well because it is different. And I would do Pac-Man's awesome in general, but Miss Pac-Man my favorite because of the variety and stuff, and it was awesome. And yeah, Miss Pac-Man's great. Plain and simple. Can't talk today. And number 4 is House of the Dead 2. Specifically 2. I never played the first one, played the crap out of the second one, played a little bit of the third one, fourth one, eh. 2 is a classic. I have it for the Dreamcast. But it's a fun-ass game. I played it in one of the vlogs. Loved the game, especially the ones that you can sit down in. You can sit down with the gun, and it was immersive. It was very immersive. I know the third one, I don't even think the third one had sitting cabinets because you had the shotgun, and I know the fourth one didn't. So it was just a nice immersive zombie shooting extravaganza, and it's fun, and I have that game like in my brain, like I know everything to do in that game to get the best ending possible, and it's awesome. I love House of the Dead 2. Again, it's another light shooter, a light gun shooter, but it's a little bit different than Time Crisis, and I didn't want to flood the thing with that, so I did want to put just one more, House of the Dead 2, because I do love it, and it's a great game, and if you haven't played House of the Dead, any of the franchises, play it, especially if you love rail shooters. If you don't love rail shooters, don't play it, because you're going to hate the game, but if you love rail shooters, House of the Dead 2 is a classic, even more so than the first one, and more than the third and fourth one. And if you didn't even know they made a fourth one, they did, and the plot's so convoluted, it's insane. But, anyway, number 3 is like a weird 3-way tie between 3 games that are all fighters. Again, I didn't want to flood it with fighters, but I wanted to talk about these specific 3 games. Street Fighter 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, and Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2, because this is my favorite Mortal Kombat game. One of the first Genesis games I own, and anytime I see it in an arcade, I get really happy and I want to play it. Because fighting games in arcades are much more fun in general than the consoles, at least to me. And that's because of the fight stick, which you can bring that experience home. But it's also just the whole atmosphere of it all. Like, you have other sounds going on, buzzing on behind you. You sometimes have people looking over your shoulder, watching you kick the other person's ass, or even just the computer's ass. So, it's like you're performing in front of an audience, almost, like, to show your skills. And you better come with skills, or you're gonna get fucking embarrassed if you're someone else. Because me, I don't care, I'll flaunt that terrible skill shit. Anyway, Mortal Kombat 2, favorite Mortal Kombat game. Street Fighter 2, because this is an arcade classic. I don't see it in many arcades. I have never seen it in many arcades. And it's a travesty, because Street Fighter 2 is like a seminal fighting arcade game. Like, I've literally only seen it in a few arcades, but if I do, I play the crap out of it, because it's a fun game. Even on the, I mean, again, I have a console port of Street Fighter 2, but it's like Mortal Kombat 2. It's much more fun in the spectrum of an arcade. Sorry, I'm getting really passionate about this because I don't know. But, yeah, it's just Street Fighter 2, amazing game. Marvel vs. Capcom because it's Marvel vs. freaking Capcom. Same reason the other 2. I don't have a home port of the first one, but I never played the second one on arcades. I did play the first one, and it was really fun. And I've only seen it in like one other arcade, but I wanted to put it in this list because it's a fun game. All of them, and they're all fighting games, so they were all together. Moving on. Number 2, Galaga. Because Galaga is fun and addictive. If you never played Galaga, space shooter, I would have said, again, Centipede thing, because it's kind of the same thing. It was more flashy and fun. There's more variety in the stages and in the enemies. And there's always, like, the 2-ship thing that was always awesome that they told you about, but it was still cool. Love me some Galaga. It's a classic. I like revamps of the game. It's just a fun-ass space shooter. It's a classic. It's addictive. The noises are awesome. The abduction noise is just probably one of my favorite old-school video game noises ever. like the abduction and then like I can't completely do it myself. But anyway, awesome game, fun, memorable sounds, and hard as hell once you keep going in the game. And number 1, a game that I played to death. I've played it on this channel, in fact. I played it with Shake. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade. I love this game. This is the other game they had at the Boys and Girls Club that I played to death because this game is awesome. If you have not seen this game, if you've never heard of this game, watch my LP/Let's Arcade of it. We play the whole game in about 33 minutes. It's definitely worth your time, and it might get you to want to play a game that's on the Xbox Arcade for, I believe, only 400 points, so it's definitely worth your money, because it's a fun game to play with people, it's a fun story, it's a great adventure with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who are awesome, and yeah, I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, and if you didn't know, Donnie's my favorite. But anyway, yeah, love me some arcade games, love me some Turtles, love me some all of the games I mentioned. I wanted to breeze through this list. I wanted to showcase the new thing on the wall, the Zapper. Thank you, Jonathan, and for all you guys watching. You guys are awesome. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I will see you another day. Arcade games. Well, not as many great ones come out. They should be remembered for how awesome they were. I'm going to bid you adieu, and goodbye.